Everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Carmina, and it's quite stressful these days, isn't it? From the inflation numbers being very high and stock markets, crypto markets tanking, quite frankly. Not really the funnest time alive, right? In 2020, we thought, oh my God, 2021 should get better, and then 2022 should get better, but some things seem to be getting worse and worse. So there's an eclipse coming in a couple of days on the 15th. Today, while I'm recording this, is the 13th. So I was thinking to watch together with you a little bit the chart of the eclipse. And also I was curious about the chart of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has been either something that people embrace wholeheartedly and very proponents, or other people are like, oh, I don't want to get into that, it's a pyramid scheme, or it's, I don't know, I don't want to get into it. So mostly people are divided, half, but of course there are some people who don't think emotionally and are just trading to get that 5, 10, 20% without the commitment. So I was looking at the chart of Bitcoin. I'm gonna share my screen. How did I take the natal chart of Bitcoin? Well, I considered the birth of Bitcoin the moment when it was posted on the stock exchange for the first time, and that happened the 3rd of January 2009 at 6:15 p.m. London, UK time. So that's the birth chart of Bitcoin. You can see some Sun, Mars, Pluto action there in the birth chart. And right now, for the past couple of months, Pluto has been getting closer to that natal Jupiter of Bitcoin. And what is Jupiter if not abundance and prosperity and cash, among other things? So that Pluto there is not fun, because Bitcoin has been at its highest in last November. It's been around $70,000, and now today, earlier a few hours ago, there was a low of $24,500, I believe. But crypto markets are more volatile than classical markets. Crypto markets today are like what the stock market was 100 years ago. So of course, people here are used to more volatility. However, people did really not expect that it would go lower than 2 years ago, which is 24 and a half. So we'll see if it rebounds, but this Pluto here transiting the Jupiter, I can't say that I see it very profitable or rebounding or going to 100 or 200K as some people were predicting. So it's time to be more conservative and not greedy. If you can do a 10% gain, great. Don't become greedy. Don't expect 100%, 200%, or 1,000% as things happened in the crypto market before, because people are very scared with their money right now. And it's very interesting that we're going near a lunar eclipse, and there was a coin called Luna, which is Latin for moon, and that coin a few weeks ago was trading at its highest point, 120 something dollars. And today it arrived at 1 cent. Like in the last 2 days it went down 99.9%. So that's the volatility in the market. I think this transit is also influencing the whole market, because Bitcoin was the first coin in this crypto market. It's the one that influences the market the most. So when it goes down, everything else goes down 10 times as hard. So let me show you something else, because I also looked at the human design chart of Bitcoin. So interestingly enough, for those who don't know about Bitcoin, Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency ever created, and coincidence or not, but in human design it's a manifester. So the manifestors in human designs are the ones that are initiating things, they are trailblazing, kind of like astrologically Aries, let's say, but we can't really equivalate it, but it has this initiating aura of trailblazing, pioneering, just bringing out something new, because manifestors are the most connected to the divine, let's say, because they can bring stuff on their own without having to respond to something, without having to be initiated or invited to something. So Bitcoin is also a 5-1 manifestor. That means the sun and earth personality are in 5, so gate 38 respectively, gate 39, line 5. So this is the line for the sun and earth personality, and the sun and earth design is 1, so gate 57, line 1, and earth gate 51, line 1. So what does that mean, a 5-1 line? If you look at the Hollywood celebrities, most of them have a 5 in their profile. You see a lot of 5-1s, a lot of 5-2s, all these super famous actors that people look at and project their fantasies onto. Well, Bitcoin also has a lot of fantasies projected onto it. So for some people, it's been a source of getting rich, but for a lot of people who are inexperienced traders, or they just didn't know when to enter, when to exit, put their feelings aside, Bitcoin, I'm sure for some people, proved less than fantasy fulfilling, to say the least. So with the 5-1, you need to be practical and just focus on what's real and don't go too much into the fantasy, because even the creator, the person who who penned down this human design system, is a 5-1 manifester. So 5-1 in general, whether they're manifestors or not, tend to have like this mythology around them, and Bitcoin also tends to have this fantasy aura around it. You have to be practical, like forget about the fantasy, forget about the promise that maybe in 10 years it's going to go to 1 million. Maybe it will, who am I to say? It's better to just take what you need from it and not hold it as like a religious artifact. I think it's good to take profit when you can, and then if you see the market is down, the market is bearish, it's good to completely exit and then come back when there's signs of recovery. Otherwise, you're gonna get wrecked. So Bitcoin in a way is a good initiator. It can be initiating your financial freedom and all that, but because it's a 5, there's always something mysterious about it, and you have to put that aside. Like, put that aside and just take it for what it is. Don't think of it as a savior, all problem solver, but take of it what you can. Be happy if you are in profit. Don't be too greedy. That's all I'm gonna say. Looking at this chart and also combined with my experience, there are lines connecting the root which is the formatting center, to the emotional center. So we have the 1949, which can be extremely sensitive, it can be overprotective. We also have the 3955. This is mood swings, up and down mood swings. And an emotional manifestor chart, an emotional manifestor person, they need to be in touch with their emotions. They need to not do impulsive things and just be clear and as neutral as possible when making decisions. So me being an emotional manifestor myself, I think working with Bitcoin and with crypto in general has showed to me the best strategy is. So if you are an emotional type, which 50% of people are, it's better to not go on impulse and just put that limit order and just let it do its thing, and don't get wrapped up in the emotional swings of the market, which of course reflect the emotional swings of the collective. If something bad happens, like a war, like inflation, people are freaking out. So then the markets will also start to freak out. It's best to have a plan, put that market order, put that limit order, stop the loss. You have to be more cool, level-headed, and pragmatic if you have especially an emotional authority. People who have a splenic authority can make decisions more on an impulse. And also people who have a sacral authority, but it has to come from their body and the response of their body, not the response of their mind, because that ruins every authority. Let's say. So what else do we see in Bitcoin? We see the 2838 individualistic line, a very resilient, very fighting. So we'll see how resilient it is, because this is another big test for Bitcoin. It had a big test in 2018, another big test in 2020 with the whole pandemic. And now there's another test in 2022, also with that Pluto within 3 degrees of Jupiter. And it's going to be there until 2024, and after 2024 the Pluto is going to move to transit Mercury in Bitcoin's natal chart. So let's see what fun things and radical swings that will bring. 5710, this is an inspired self-expression, because the 57 is intuitive. It's the right ear, it's your inner ear, the things you hear from your intuition. So this is inspired or intuitive self-expression, which is the 10. But let's not forget the authority is still the emotional authority. So first, you really have to have your emotions clear with an emotional authority. And then what channels do we see? The 1333, which is collective channel, it's the witness. And then we have the 6447, which is a structuring channel, but also has to do with wealth, because the 47 is taking stock and the 64 is helping to organize that stock. Coin also has that gate of shock, the 51. Some people bet against it. Some people never thought it would be long lasting, but it's been lasting now since 2009, so it's already 13 years, and today is the 13. Isn't that a coincidence? But there are shocks. There will have been shocking downs and shocking ups. It's really interesting to see that the design sun, the design earth, is in the 51 line, because not once have we been shocked by the markets which have been initiated and created by Bitcoin. I'm talking about the crypto markets, which are $1 trillion industry. If we look at the cards of truth, Bitcoin is a Jack of Spades. Jack of Spades is not a fun card, but it's a very resilient card. So let's see how resilient it is. The Jack of Spades is like the soldier doing its best to survive, really individualistic. Even in human design, we saw that the incarnation cross of Bitcoin is the cross of individualism. There are a lot of individual lines in Bitcoin. So it doesn't owe you anything, Bitcoin. That's kind of what I'm trying to say with those individualistic lines. And with the Jack of Spades here being a very, the spades are more self-focused, and they're focused on their fixing their problems. So the Jack of Spades is trying to fix his problems. Right now, with the Bitcoin, it's in a 7 of Clubs period that started since April. So that 7 of Clubs is letting go of some unnecessary things like downsizing, downstreaming, maybe a shake off for the shit coins, which are the coins that were, like had no intrinsic value whatsoever. But let's not forget that the ecliptic for this year is the 3 of Spades, and the Pluto is in the 6 of Spades. So the maturity of Bitcoin is really being tested. It's 13 years old, it's a teenager Bitcoin, so it's going through puberty, it's having a rough time, a lot of emotional swings, a lot of highs and lows. Over the summer, a little bit of recovery, but look at this King of Spades coming up in November. So we're not out of the woods yet. It's a very important year for Bitcoin. Next year, again, we're going to have a King of Spades, which is a very do or die moment. That 2 of Spades is like you've been to war and you're licking your wounds, you're trying to fix yourself. Then from 2024, maybe that Jupiter card for Bitcoin is really profitable. It's a 10 of diamonds. But maybe the purpose of Bitcoins is not money in itself, is decentralization and like taking ownership of your own capital. So it doesn't have to work in itself, but it can show you there is a way. It can, on a broader scale, it can show people, let's be more decentralized, let's do that more. So we'll see what happens. This eclipse anyway, when the Mercury became stationary, it started to go haywire. And now this eclipse coming up, let's see the transits. Yeah, that Pluto is within 1 degree there. Let's see, the nodes are in the 11th house versus 5th house. Uranus is also transiting the 11th house, so a lot of volatility. The node there with the sun transiting the 11th house can make returns look better than they actually are. And let's see. Yeah, it's looking very volatile at the moment. If you have the balls and the intuition to be a good day trader or swing trader, to trade some pairs from one to the next, I think it's very good and you should do that. But if not, I also see that Mars is opposing the natal Saturn, which is also rough. Mars is also very close to Uranus, and Mars is also close to Neptune in transit. So a lot of volatility, it's not on firm ground, I would just wait it out a little bit because who knows, maybe it goes back to 4K and after that maybe it will go to 100K, but not as quickly as some people were predicting. Yeah, so that was about it for today, and I hope you are well. Even if you have some minuses in your stock market, consider that as a paid tutorial, like a tutorial that you will remember, because we humans, we remember more the negative experiences. Like, we're greedy when we get like a good return, but then when we are on minus even a little bit, we tend to victimize ourselves a lot. So consider this like a paid training, a paid tutorial. If you lost some money, now you will know next time what to do. You will stick with a plan, you'll put a stop loss. Everyone, I'm sure, has a skill and a talent, and if they are authentic with that skill and talent, they can keep generating income. Take your lesson and move on with life. That is the advice for these volatile financial times, especially stock market, crypto market, and Bitcoin in particular, because that's what we talked about today. So if you're looking for readings, you can go ahead and check out my website, carminamza.com. I'm also gonna add some private tutorings there. A lot of people have been asking me for more card classes. I don't know if I'm gonna start another card class. That is like a big question mark, but one-on-one private tutorings, that I will be doing for sure. So I'll see you soon and have a good weekend. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and all that. Okay, goodbye.